Yo, what's good? It's your boy Hard Ali, and I'm with the GOAT, the teacher, the class that is always in session, Zoran Belfriend. And my dog here got top four at BCS with great nature, I might add. Let me focusing on these beautiful cards that he's going to show you.
I'll flip them the other way.
And then he's going to show you this deck profile so you guys may be a part of class too.
Hey guys, well, like he said, I got top four at BCS Duluth, Georgia. I was close to getting top three for the World's invite, but yeah, we'll talk about my run in another video. Safe to say that it actually was something that I did not expect for the weekend. So we're gonna go from 3 to 0 and then the G zone. It changed slightly the last time from the original deck profile. Well, not too much, but it has some slight changes to it. I'm playing 4 Big Belly, 2 V, and 2 G Big Belly. You want to be able to see G Big Belly going first, and if you have time to stabilize, you can also go into it going second for the History Collection Stride, or you could just go straight into V Big Belly going second. The next grade 3s that I play are 2 copies of Amazing Professor Big Belly. He is a rearguard restander at the end of the battle that he attacks, and in any case, if you need to ride him, he also has an on-stride effect to call a card from your hand, gets 4k, and then it'll die at the end of the turn, but not before you draw a card. The next grade 3 that I play in this deck is Talented Rhinos. He is the, I guess, strongest rearguard in the deck because he has guard restrict, so he has the success ability, which means if you are at a certain power threshold, you become successful. His success ability is when he becomes successful, he gets plus 4k power, and when he attacks, you can't guard him with grade 0s from your hand. So he has a very strong guard restrict because most of everyone in the premium format is playing grade 0 Sentinels. And coupled with another stride in the G zone, he is very, very powerful. The last card that I play is Bracing Angel Ladder. It's for all of your matchups like Narukami, Kaguro, any other decks like Link Joker or Mega Colony that want to interrupt your turns. This is a great card. It probably, I don't know if there's people have been talking about wanting to have this card banned. It probably should be banned because it creates an uninteractive game state where combo decks or OTK decks can just pop off. But I think for this deck, it helps it a lot. It's not like those other combo / OTK decks. It kind of is, but you need to see the right pieces for it. And this is searchable with a grade 1 that we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. The grade 2s, I play 3 Crayon Tiger, 3 Blusher Parakeet, 2 Lesser Rider, 2 Spool Mary, and I play 1 Candelaria. Everyone knows who Crayon Tiger is. If you don't know by now, then you must be new to the game. But if you do know by now, he is probably the best Amber clone in the game. That's an old G term that we use to describe rearguards that have on boost effects when they attack a Vanguard.
Yeah, they don't know about that.
They don't know. They don't know about the old days. Some of them don't. But if you do know about the old days, then this was the Amber clone. He was probably the strongest Amber clone. He restands a rearguard when he swings if he's boosted, and then that rearguard gets plus 4k. End of turn, you'll get to draw a card, and the rearguard gets retired. Spool Mary has a lot of practical uses. If you don't have Rhino, this kind of doubles as a secondary Rhino because she gives herself plus 10k when she attacks, and you have a Big Belly Vanguard. And she also gives the Vanguard plus 10k, which is kind of important for making numbers. And at the end of the turn, she will retire herself. And in addition to that, if you have her on the Vanguard circle and you ride a grade 3 over her, she can call herself out. So she is a free rearguard when you ride over her. The Blusher Parakeet has a Vanguard rearguard effect. You search top 7 cards of your deck. It grabs a grade 3. If it's on rear guard at the end of the turn, it'll get retired and it gets plus 3k power. This is really strong in addition to all of the grade 1, grade 3 searchers that we have in this deck, and it's just another retire outlet. It costs a counterblast, so if they damage deny you at the beginning of the game, it kind of sucks. You have to rely on your other cards to search grade 3s. But this can also be used in tandem with one of your G guards, which I'll go into later. And then the last grade 2s that I play are 2 copies of Lesser Rider. Lesser Rider gives all of your units with the success ability plus 2k and resist if he is successful. So if you have a board of him, Amazing Professor Big Belly, and the Rhinos, if you're against a matchup like Narukami and you get to 20k power or greater, which you will, it's great nature, then these 3 guys are untouchable. And this is really strong because now, unlike Crayon Tiger, this guy doesn't need a booster to be able to restand a rear guard. And you'll be able to have these 3 attacks that are uninteractable to a certain extent. And the last grade 2 that I'm playing is Candelaria. This is a 1-of, so you can swap it for a 4th Crayon Tiger. I think I mentioned that in the last deck profile for this channel. But this actually saved me in a game at Top Cut, and we'll talk about that later in a different video. It makes 2 plant tokens by retiring itself at the end of the turn. So it's a free retire, and it gets you 2 bodies. Okay, so the
grade 1s.
Grade 1s. I play 3 copies of Mika Saburo, Mike, 4 copies of Mini Belly, the G Mini Belly I play 2 copies of, and the V Mini Belly I play 2 copies of. I play 2 Deli Belly, 2 Label Pangolin, this card probably should be at 3, 1 Garmurek, and 1 Elementaria. This doesn't count as a unit, so you guys know what Elementaria does. The most important rear guards in this deck for the grade 1s are Mike and Label Pangolin. So Mike says when you play him during your main phase, you pick a rear guard, and it gets the effect at the end of the turn. When it gets retired, you can search for a grade 3 card from your deck, add it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. That's how you're able to search literally any grade 3 in your deck if you don't have it. So it's quite toolboxy and resourceful. It could also search for grade 3 heals, which is very, very strong. Label Pangolin is probably the best counter charge engine for this deck that is out right now. So what it does is when it's placed, just like Mike, you pick a rear guard and it gets the red text at the end of the battle that it attacks. If it's over 20k power or more, you can counter charge and soul charge. This is not once per turn, and it's stackable. So all 3 or 5, okay, these 2 cards are stackable. If you manage to stack 2 instances of Mike and 1 instance of Pangolin on 1 card, like say for example Rhinos, this Rhino at the end of the turn will search you 2 grade 3s and countercharge you as many times as the Rhino attacks. So it's really, really strong, especially if you have your restanders. This deck doesn't get stopped by Hanali whatsoever. You can actually play around with different attack patterns if they have like 2 Hanalis under you, which is pretty crazy. And it's even better if you find Pangolins. Now the next grade 1s that I have are 4 copies of Mini Belly, 2G, 2V. The V1 is pretty strong as a booster. It's a 13k booster if you have something on the Axel circle, and you're always going to have something on the Axel circle. It can even count itself. And then the G Mini Belly, not the V1, sorry, is able to search for any copy of Big Belly just by flashing a grade 3 after you play it during the main phase, which can also be another way how you search your grade 3s in this deck, especially your right targets. The last grade 1s for defensive purposes are the Garmurek and the 2 copies of Deli Belly. Deli Belly is incredible. He works as a countercharge engine, and as an extra draw, if you guard with him on the Guardian Circle when he gets retired, if you have a Big Belly Vanguard, you can Soul Blast 1 and then countercharge and draw, like I mentioned earlier. This also works on rear guard, so if he does get retired at the end of the turn, he'll be able to get you that countercharge and draw, or if you call over him, you'll get that countercharge and draw immediately. Garmurek is just another copy of your heal trigger. If you use your heal guardians early and you have this in your hand, you can use him as a G guard. I never really used the second effect to call him on the Guardian Circle and bind a heal trigger to mill the top card of the deck because it's a little bit too RNG. He's mostly used for the effect that he's functional as a G guard. The cost for the G guard, at least. So those are the grade 1s. The last grade 1 that I play is Elementaria. It's the standard staple that you have to play in every single premium deck. Well, maybe not every single premium deck if you can't afford it. For the triggers, I'm playing 10 crits. One draw trigger. The over trigger.
Over trigger. I hate that card.
Yeah, he's going to rant about it in future videos.
So many videos.
So many videos. 3 grade 3 heals and 1 G heal that lets you countercharge or soul charge. The koala is very, very nice if you are down in resources. It can get you a soul or it can get you an extra counterblast face up by binding another heal. These cards are incredible as one-ofs. And I don't really have much to say about the trigger lineup aside from wanting to play maybe more crits, but having 4 sentinels in a deck I feel is a bit more stable than just having 3, because I only have the 2 grade 1 PGs, the Cable Sheep, and the Elementaria. So I have a decent variety of sentinels that I can use for my opponents, because if they say no grade 0s, oh well, then I have 2 grade 1 PGs. And if they say no grade 1s or greater, then I have 1 grade 0 PG that I can use, and Elementaria. That is it for the trigger lineup.
Now to the best part.
Now to the best part, the G zone. So the G zone, I'll start off with the strides that I have at 2. So I have these strides at 2 each. The first one is Wisdom Teller. He's the History Collection stride, so you need a second copy of him to flip face up. He's very strong if you have a proper setup. For example, if you have Pangolin and Crayon Tigers and another rear guard that you can get over 20k, he's going to draw you a lot of cards. He'll be able to push for high damage, or at least get you enough cards in hand to where you can then be able to beat your opponent next turn. And he gets you 2 Axel markers if you do the History Collection stride. The second card that I have at 2 is Managarmr Arum. I did stride into this during one of my rounds and top cut, but you don't stride into him occasionally. You never want to stride into him, actually. He's just flip fodder. What he does is in the G zone, this is his most important effect. If you have him face up in the G zone, when your Vanguard is attacking, you can Soul Blast 1 and call a card from your hand. So what this does is if you have a Belly in your hand, if you have a Crayon Tiger in your hand, if you have any rear guard in your hand, this is another attack extension for the deck, which is insane. So if you have a incredible setup, and you have Rhino on the field and multiple restanders in your hand, and you'll have restanders on the board, you'll be able to extend the amount of attacks that you get with your Rhino, or with any rear guard for that matter. This card is just incredible as flip fodder. And his other effect, if you do stride into him, isn't bad either. He can get you drives or power. This is probably for matchups that are unfavorable for Great Nature, or if you are sort of bricked in not having rear guards and you don't see triggers. So this can get you to see triggers potentially. The next 2 cards that are at 2 copies are Ballarol and Caladrius. Ballarol is a very old stride that came out towards the end of G era. He is kind of like those crest decks that get power for each card in the G zone. He says that he gives your front row 4k power for every card face up in the G zone by paying a Soul Blast and turning a card face up in your G zone. So if you have, like, say for example, 8 cards face up in the G zone, and then you activate Ballarol and you flip that 9th card face up, you're getting a buttload of power. It's a insane amount of power for one Soul Blast. You're basically replicating what the crest decks can do, and it gives you an on-hit effect to your entire front row once per turn. If you hit your opponent's Vanguard, you get to draw a card. It's mandatory, by the way. You can't skip on the Ballarol draw, so you could deck out if you're not careful with this card. And then the next card that is at 2 copies is Caladrius. This card is insanely strong with the Rhino. He has 2 effects. The first effect, you turn a card face up, you give your front row plus 10k power. Front row rear guards plus 10k power. End of the turn, they'll get retired. His second effect, when he swings, you counterblast 1, pick a rear guard that's 30k or greater, you stand them. And then that rear guard gets the red text. So there's a bunch of red text in this deck. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh! It gets the red text. When it attacks, you have to guard with 3 or more cards from your hand if you are to guard that attack, which is, in case you have not played against Grand Blue, Jewel Knights, Shadow Paladin, or any of those clans, that guard restricted skill, the triple battle door, is broken. Even if it's only on 1 unit, it's insanely strong. And especially if that unit says you can't guard with grade zeros. And even if you can guard with zeros, say for example you have the sheep, Spool Mary, it's still 3 cards to guard from your hand unless you G guard. So it's insanely powerful.
Straight up death.
Yeah,
Like,
straight up death. And if you flip crits and on this turn with the Rhino, you're probably killing your opponent. The next couple of strides before we get to the G guards, we have 4 1-up strides here. So we have Sipticom, Megaloma, Fernigeese, and 1 copy of Harmonix Messiah. You already know, the GOAT representing over here.
For real, I love that card.
Everyone loves this card. I think everyone is grateful that this card has been reprinted to high hell and back.
Yes.
Now, these strides serve very specific purposes. Sipticom is here so that if you have a proper setup, you can kill your opponent. I killed my opponent round 1 with this stride. He has 2 skills. The first skill, if you were to have a rearguard get retired or have something milled from your deck, that rearguard may go to the bottom of the deck. The unit that gets milled may go to the bottom of the deck. So that's skill number 1. Skill number 2, when one of your rearguards attacks, you Soul Blast 1, turn a card face up in the G zone. That rearguard gets 5k for every card face up in the G zone, which is, again, an insane amount of power. If you have at least 5 cards face up, that's what, like 25k power to a rearguard only? Yeah?
Yeah, crazy.
Insane amount of power. And then that rearguard gets retired at the end of the battle. So this is actually kind of like either a Spike Brother stride or a Nova Grappler stride, similar to Bustard or Villainous Verminous or whatever the hell his name is, which gives a lot of power, turns cards face up, so that next turn you can go into this guy. And then this guy, if you haven't killed your opponent with this guy, will kill your opponent.
Yeah, he'll do it for sure. That's crazy.
Yep. Megaloma is the progenitor stride. You need to pitch a copy of your Vanguard with the same name to stride into this. It lets you, by discarding 2 cards, get the skill of, if you were to lose the fight, you then don't lose and end your opponent's turn.
Insane.
It is an insane card.
Insane.
we'll talk more about it
that's crazy.
in my round experiences. This card really saved my ass in top 32, and I would love to build around this card, but I don't think a super defensive build of Great Nature is good right now until either Spangled comes back or something happens to the format. So this card, incredible. It lets you strike for free afterwards. So even if you don't die on the next turn and the opponent doesn't kill you, I'm repeating myself, then you can stride for free and you don't have to discard cards.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Then the next card is Omniscience Dragon Fernegeese. He has 2 effects. The first effect, he gets 4k for every rearguard on the board. So he just gets fat. Yeah. And nobody really goes into him, but his second effect is at the end of the turn, when he goes back to the G zone, GB3, you counterblast 1, soul blast 1, blow up your board, and you draw a card, countercharge, and soul charge for each instance of that many rearguards that get blown up. And you have to do it in that order. So if you blow up 5 rearguards, you draw a card for the first rearguard, countercharge, and soul charge. Draw a card for the second rearguard, countercharge, and soul charge. The sequencing for this card is very, very, very important, because otherwise then you would be cheating with this card. It helps you build a lot of soul and gets you close to deck out if you want to play for the Megaloma turn to end your opponent's turn by decking out or by taking the 6 damage, whatever it is. Back then when Spangled was around, people could draw their deck out, end the opponent's turn, and then just say, okay, it's my turn now. That's why the G-Guard Spangled is banned, but you know, and the Overtrigger is also still around too. So yeah, and the last copy of the G units that I play here is Harmonix Messiah. You can turn this up if you're getting damage denied by other decks with any of your other strides. Or you can go into this against Link Joker and then say, well, now I'm going to hit you really hard in the head.
Yep. Bless up.
Yep.
On that card. Well, you got any shout-outs, my boy?
Nope. No shout-outs whatsoever. Just wanted to let you know that I play one of each G-Guard. Sorry, this is taking for too long.
No, you're
but
good.
We're going to finish this right now. I play 1 copy of Ardillo, 1 copy of Almirage, 1 copy of Avil, and 1 copy of Sankalpa. All of these cards, they do very different things. This one lets you pop your rear guards, and if you're on V Big Belly, you get to draw a shit ton of cards for popping your rear guards. So if you have a board and you want to get rid of it, this card gets you advantage for getting rid of your board, and it gets plus 10k shield. So it's fat. This card is our version of Dismal. By Soul Blasting 1, and you get to call up to 2 cards from your hand and give 5 of your rear guards resist. And the skill, if they were to be hit, they do not get retired. In addition, they can also pick rear guards on the Guardian Circle. Damn. So if you are playing against, I don't know, D-Police, and they want to guard bust, you can PG, then G-Guard, pick Almirage as your G-Guard, and go, this card on the Guardian Circle can't be retired, and it gets resist.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's
I don't use it for that.
Yeah, but that's just crazy, though.
But it's a very crazy tech that you can do in this deck if you're playing against D-Police.
That's funny.
Yep. So you have an out to D-Police if you ever play against them.
Yeah. Yep. Like, I wish I had that. My G-Guards suck.
And this G-Guard, Subchetaville, has also, it's a bit RNG, but it also has an out to those certain guard restrictor, guard bust decks. So he says when you play him on the Guardian Circle, you counterblast 1 and you mill the top card of your deck. If it is a normal unit, this card gets plus 20k shield. So it is a 35k shield in total, making your guard value 47 if you just G-Guard alone with it. Insane, by the way. And if you mill a trigger unit, the attack gets nullified.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yep. Totally at random. It's never going to happen the way you want it to. I've milled
So many heals from this.
Oh,
I did that on my 7th round against a Pale Moon player. Shout out to that guy. He saw me mill a heal trigger. And he was like, "Oh, that's so sad." And I said, "Well, I get to nullify your attack at least."
Yeah.
I still died, but that's okay. And then the last G guard I play is Sankalpa. Sankalpa, when he's on the Guardian Circle, you can counterblast 1, pick a rear guard and your Vanguard, and it gets plus 4k for every open circle. Every open rear guard circle. If the rear guard is over 20k, when this effect happens, you get to draw a card. So it's a nice little value for pitching a card, and for counterblasting 1, you get a card back. You get Fat Shield if you already sacked half your board with this card. If you're on V Big Belly, then you just get to draw more cards.
That's great. Hey, did you show your starter?
Oh, I have.
You gotta show the starter.
Yep,
bro.
we gotta show the
guy,
little
bro.
SP starter. He's going to school.
We love this little dude, bro. Class is always in
It's
session.
beautiful. It's got a butterfly right there. He's on his way to school. He's probably his first day.
Who knows?
We have some plant tokens here for the Candelaria. If you don't want to play Candelaria, you don't need to play the plant tokens. And then I have Excel markers. I have the shiny one unsleeved.
Of course.
Yep.
So yeah, no shout outs or nothing?
Shout out to my opponents who played with me. It was a great experience. I really appreciated the games. Shout out to my top 32 opponents. All of them, they were great sports about it. If you weren't, then I'm sorry that you didn't have a good game against me, but I had a great game against you.
Yeah.
And I had a wonderful time. No matter if I won or lost, and I did lose in the last 2 rounds. That's why I got 4th place. I'm not mad about it. I didn't really think that I would be able to take this deck all the way up there to 4th place.
Nah, you went crazy, bro.
I did. We can talk more about my run in another video as a interview, but needless to say, it was one hell of an experience.
Yes, sir. Good job.
Thank you.